follow the program as best as possible. We have some abbreviations already in terms of the music, of course, and we're asking Miss Valerie to come on out.
Now you're all.
Bongo David.
Because of the case? Oh, really?
So if you're looking at your program, it says salutations. Yes, sir. Yes.
Because of the case.
Salutations from Ms.
I'm not gonna
Valerie
sit
and
there.
myself.
Thank
While
you,
she's
guys.
coming out, I just want to again welcome everyone,
Come here, Leah.
and we have enjoyed the food. I want to thank the caterers, Ms. Valerie, David's Tropicana Restaurant. They're located on Briggs Cheney Road in Briggs Cheney, Maryland. And they used to be located in the Washington, D.C. area, but they moved to Maryland. And David is my younger brother, and we honor and respect those around us daily. Ms. Valerie has come on facilitated us using these premises. This is the first time these premises are being used for an occasion like this, and we're very grateful. As you notice, this is part of the or de-gentrification of Washington, D.C. Further down this street, you have Roots School and several other, I think there's a Hope Cultural Center. And what we're doing in the northwest portion of Washington, D.C. is trying to bring culture. And on this block alone, I think we have 4 or 5 churches. And so we're revitalizing the area. These were formerly warehouses. To the rear of this building is the Metro rail station, a railway rather, not station. We're actually between Fort Totten and Tacoma Park. So it's really a pleasure to use these facilities because this was where Loran planned to have functions. Jesse and I were just mentioning that I wanted to have dub sessions where you play old music from the 70s and bring people that were culturally in tune. And today we're here. And so I think it is fitting that we're doing this here because that's how he had planned it. Ms. Valerie, I've known her for probably 30 years or so. Played soccer with her husband extensively, Raymond Davidson. Those of us who know about the soccer tournament in Philadelphia, that's her brother-in-law who holds that tournament. But Ms. Valerie is a people person. She loves the community, and she's now a dedicated Christian. And last week she was on a prayer retreat and revitalized to come and do this function with us today. I asked her what she'd like to, she said she'd like to do a fruit medley, and of course some of us have admired her strawberry tree. And with my botanical background, I'm amazed because I've never seen strawberry on trees. But I'll take it. And when you're a chef, you can do anything. You have a license to do anything. While we're talking about chef license, "4 o'clock this morning, Super said, put more agave in the mountain. Folks are not supposed to cry, you know, but when you're a big man, you can cry. But we have license to do things. It's one of the most phenomenal things about Laurent to me. If he said that you can think it, you can do it. And it's a good life lesson for all of us. If you think it, you can do it. So we have license in the kitchen to do things, and I hear that the kids from time to time are good chefs, so that's a good legacy. So without any further ado, Ms. Valerie, just share a few words on behalf of Laurent and or having this event here. As you see, it will be under salutations. Ms. Valerie, here you go.
Good evening, everyone. We're happy to have you here, even though my friend is gone, and I miss him dearly. Every now and again, I see the car driving up by my gate. You know, my mom, well, we're brothers and sisters from a different mother. That's what I always tell him. When I told him that I was offered a job here to run this facility, he told me all his plans that he had. And every month he was going to have some kind of ethnic celebration here. And so when Jati told me that they were planning something here, I just thought that it had to be here, because this is where he wanted to start up his other life, his positive way of making money. This was what he was going to do. So I'm very happy that this is the first event here. And it's an adult daycare center where adults are picked up every morning by 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're dropped off here and then they go back home in the evenings by 3 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, the place is empty. Everybody's gone. So on weekends, we rent it out for whatever events that people want to have. And sad that he's not here to be a part of this, but the Spirit is here. The Spirit is here, and I thank you all for coming out and for celebrating him. I haven't known him very long, but he just became my brother, and my mother adopted him. They both love gardening, and sometimes he'd just be there helping her in the yard, weeding out the weeds out of her garden. He'd find something, he'd go to the health store, bring her some chia because that was good for her to eat. And you know, they were into the health food thing, which I wasn't, but they connected. And I don't know, the short time that I met him and came to know him, he's made such an impact on my life. He really has. As I said, I miss him. I miss talking to him. Tells me about everybody. Tells me about people. So it's good for me to see, when I went to New Jersey, to meet people whose name I'd heard, but now I could put a face to them. Margot, Ganzi, his other brother, Alcott, that lives in Virginia. Loud, and you know, the children, I knew all of them before I met them. And I'm just happy to have you all here. Jesse, I met Jesse before. Jesse was the only one I met. Yes. I'm happy to be here and happy to have you all celebrating his life, because it's worth celebrating.
Thank you, Ms. Valerie. On the program, it says celestial drumming. What would you do? Do you know? I'm going to do, in 1972, for the Jamaica Festival, Rossi's, my high school alma mater, we entered the festival for dramatic presentation. And we went to Kingston, and we won the third bronze. I was a drummer, and even prior to then, I drummed extensively. band life is not my kind of life because they stay up late. But today we have Gino and Patrick from Iration Band, and I'm going to do a lead for about 3 minutes or so on some of the basic drumming that has come to Jamaica. Before I start, I'll tell you the two rhythms that I'm going to be playing. One is very slow, it's very haunting, and then of course I'll end with Kumina. These rhythms were used by the slaves, not just in Jamaica. I'm talking Brazil, and in the south of the United States, and all along the western portion of Africa, not the eastern portion, which had a more eastern influence, but the western portion of Africa, from Algeria all the way down to the Cape, you had this type of drumming. So, without any further ado, Gino and Patrick, you're going to join me, and I'm going to do a short set with the two rhythms, one slow and one faster. faster rhythm. talk more about aeration. Thanks Gino and Patrick. They will have another tribute later on in the program. We have a prayer bowl. We've done our prayer. And I'm going to forego the prayer bowl towards the end. And we're going to ask Jesse and Alba and Margo to come on up. And please, come on up. We have a symbolic candle, and we're going to light it because the siblings are now passing the mantle on to Jesse, so to speak. And since I stopped smoking in my dreams, I don't have fire. But I could call down for lightning, but that wouldn't be good. We need fire, and Jesse has fire. In his bosom. So the symbol, again, our program is more symbolic, and this is very, very important, folks. Those of us who believe in family, we have to pass the baton, or the baton, on. We really have to pass the baton on. And I wish Lauren had done that more. Pass it on. Because we're not here for it. And so today, symbolically, as we light this candle, Alcott and Marwa and Maurice have a wonderful legacy of Hector family. By the way, the family heritage is long. Lauren was looking into all of the heritage stuff. And it's very important. So now we pass it on to Jesse. So Jesse, I'll probably ask you to light the candle. And later on, folks, very shortly, we'll get to all light from this candle. Everybody will get a token candle. Those of us who, this is a picture moment, folks, so we're grateful. All right? And we're going to move to the next section of our program. Right? So we can be seated. And we're going to ask Imani. She didn't know this, but now she knows. So come on up. She's the eldest of Lauren's two daughters, and so I'm going to ask her to do the responsive reading. I chose Ecclesiastes 13 because for 4 years, Lauren and I talked about what word we would choose for the year. And at first, he said, I told him, I said, I don't have any word for the year. He said, well, we have to have a word for the year that we can live by. And this year, the word was harvest time. And every time we would say it was harvest time. So Ecclesiastes 13 is synonymous of a time for everything. And we're going to ask Imani to do the responsive reading. She'll read the first verse, and we'll respond with the second, and so on and so forth.
There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens.
Thank you.
A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to stretch and a time to grow. A time to keep and a time to hold. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love What do workers gain for their toil? He has made me everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom that God has done what God has done from beginning to end. That each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God.
Thank you very much. Our next item is acoustical music. Patrick, do we want to defer that until after the tribute? Okay, so let's do that. And from our football fraternity, and I'm going to change the order of this because the first person here today was Brother Roy McPherson. Brother Roy, come on up. And Brother Roy is going to be speaking on behalf of the rest of our community. We volunteer on a farm down in Waldorf, well, Brandywine, Maryland, for about 3 or 4 years now. Brother Sonny is also here with us, and we volunteer on this farm. But Brother Roy is committed to community and to family, and when he met Lauren, it was energy at first sight. And so, Brother Roy, share your greetings.
Yes, greetings everyone. Please give Brother Alvin a big round of applause for his support. Thank you, Brother Tucker. Thank you. It was just 2 days ago that he asked me if I could stop by to say a few words pertaining to Brother Super. First, let us rejoice in this wonderful, beautiful day that the Most High God has blessed us with, and let us thank Him for making it possible for all of us to be in this place at this moment to celebrate the life of Brother Super. I'm a director of the Shashamane Foundation, a locally based non-profit organization that focuses on helping to develop the community in Shashamane, Ethiopia, on land that was granted in 1948 by His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie to the black peoples of the West who saw Africa as home and wanted to connect in a direct way. You could come home and reside, and you didn't need a visa or any of this. And for the last 60 years, our brave brothers, sisters, and fathers have been making this trip from the Caribbean, from the United States, from Europe, repatriating to Shashamane, Ethiopia. And I've had the privilege and the great blessing of visiting this place, and after carefully observing, making a commitment years ago to spend the rest of my life contributing to the development and the welfare of this community. And one of the main things that we have accomplished is that our foundation has been very instrumental since the late 90s in helping to build a school and financing this school by putting on an annual fundraiser in the form of a fashion show, dinner, entertainment, right here in the Washington, D.C. area. We had a warehouse about this space right down the road for 17 years. And for the first 9 years, we would convert the place one day per year into a beautiful hall and invite our friends. And 200 to 300 of them would show up to pay a little fee at the door, to buy something to eat, something to drink, to make a contribution. And this is the main way in which we have raised funds for this school. And it was at one of our events, I can't remember the exact year. I know it was in the early 2000s. And by the way, I'm always the gate man. When you come to the door, you have to pass through me. We have to see everyone that's coming through. We're a family, we're safe. And so that's been my main job. And it was on one of these occasions that I distinctly remember either 3 or 4 people showing up. A lady, sister, 2 children as I remember it, and this tall, quiet brethren who was standing in the back. So of course I'm anxious to collect, so I'm trying to collect from the ones at the front, and they're looking back at him, and then he beckoned to let them go. And of course I was a little apprehensive, because what happens usually is that when a crowd of 3 or 4 people come, the one at the back, if it's he that is paying, he's usually trying to negotiate a reduced price or to pay for 2 instead of 4 people. But I remember that when they came in and the brother came up, he was holding some money in his hand. And he knew exactly what the fee was. And he gave me the money. And right away, he engaged me in explaining that Albert Allen, we call him Teach, the brother who went to Ethiopia from Jamaica years ago and started the school, that they went to the same high school and that they've been friends since they were young. And he was very happy and excited that his friend Teach had gone to Ethiopia and had done such a marvelous job of establishing this school. And he made it clear to me that he was here to support this and that he'd always be there to support. The next year he came, and for several years, as far as I can remember, he'd come to all of our fundraisers over the years. Never knew his name. Then every now and again, I'd run into him at certain places in the community just in passing. And he was always very positive, always very confident, and always had a word of encouragement. And all of this was in passing because I really didn't know him other than when we would meet occasionally like this. Within the last year and a half, I met him 3 times. Twice, we met at a restaurant in Lanham, a Jamaican restaurant. I would just drive into the place, and he'd be driving in. It was as though an appointment was made like this. And in watching how he dealt with the people in the restaurant and so on, I realized that there was something to this brother. And we would always have a pleasant conversation, and I must tell you, he always left me feeling better about myself. There was always something very positive and upbeat about him. I never asked him his name. But by then he'd become my brethren. And then, I think it was late in 2011, I remember another occasion where Brother Tucker invited me to an event that they had in a park somewhere over, where was that? Somewhere over in Maryland there. And I was coming from the farm after a hard day of work, but we decided to pass through. And I went into the place, and there he was, mostly around the kitchen. Lots of food, lots of things to drink, and it was buffet style. But you know what? Not only did he invite me to eat, but he took time out to come to the kitchen to explain everything that was available. And he did it in such a way that I felt very much at home. And he made the drinks, he made all the food, and I left that place that night realizing that this brother is a chef extraordinaire. And I'll never forget, a couple of months ago we were on the farm, long day at work, and we're heading back up this way. And I was heading to Hyattsville, and I was taking the back roads from Brandywine. And Brother Tucker has never taken this route. He always goes up Route 3. So then he said, you know, I want to follow you. You see this peaceful shortcut that you guys take. And we're coming up there, and my phone rang, and I looked, it was his number. And he said, you know, Brother Roy, I just got a call from one of Super's sons. And he was involved in a terrible accident. So I'm on my way home. I'm just going to change my clothes, and I'm heading to the trauma center in Baltimore. I have a working relationship with them. And we stayed in touch over the next couple of days. And as fate would have it, he left us. And then I realized that we had so many good friends and brethren in common. I never knew he knew all these people that I know. I never knew he knew Sister Valerie. I didn't even know that he was Tucker's brother. I just think he was my brethren, and I've become so over time. And as I listen to people on the farm and elsewhere, I hear people echoing my own sentiments and even putting words to the ideas that I developed in my own mind about who this brethren was. The key thing is I never knew his name. It was after he passed that they said, Tucker said, oh, Super. You see? So for me, this brother was not perfect like myself, but no one can tell me that he was not a gold piece and that he wasn't an angel. I pray for his family. And I wish you well. I suggested to Tucker that there needs to be even a scholarship fund established in his name where even once a year we can put $300 together and donate it to some needy child somewhere as a scholarship towards transportation for school in honor of this brother because he deserves it. And I'm here to support this effort, and I'm here. I will always be praying for you, his family. He touched me, and I appreciate this. Great things are written about the future. It is said that the greatest machine invented is the mind of man. And the scripture says that not even this can imagine that which is in store for the faithful. My prayer is that he will rest in peace and that he will be granted a place in the pending kingdom of the Most High God. One love.
Thank you, Brother Roy. When I am reincarnated, I'm going to be like Brother Roy because he's an orator, and it's a delight to work with him on the farm. But sometimes he comes over and shares great words of wisdom, and I take it as a good time to rest. Those sentiments from Brother Roy are from Idor as well, and the broader Rastafari community. So many brethren shared the same sentiments. Didn't know his name. Because Super wouldn't go around and say, it's medium Super. We just engage you in conversation, and uplift your spirits and keep moving. So we're grateful for that. On the tributes, this is from the United States Postal Service. I'm going to bring us greetings, and Destiny, you want to come? If you like it. Sabrina, if you like it.
Like she knows it. So I'm just here to represent.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. I met Cindy after Laurent's passing. They worked together, and he helped her to adjust to a very hostile workplace. I have no apology if you're from the Postal Service. Well, I can't curse, but I'd like to, right. But, Grace, okay. Laurent was an angel in the Postal Service. And that's period. On multiple days, for example, this young lady is having to work 21 days without a break. And that's not right. She now works at the only post office in Maryland that's open on Sundays. That's at Rockwood. So, or I'm not besmirching or denigrating our government and the United States Postal Service. But they have to change some things. And Laurent weathered the storm, and he was coming back to work. That's how conscientious he was. He didn't want to be late for work at 11. And so Cindy, as a co-worker, they understood what they had to do in the workplace, and they were courteous. And maybe a little later, Margot will share with us how the community, these are people who only need to come and buy stamps. And I think also, when I go into a post office and I join the line, I do a lot of reminiscing. I wonder where the mail is going. And sometimes I would ask Laurent about this. And I say, how many countries did you send mail today? I say, sometimes 40. 40 different countries. So you know you have people, quite a diversity, coming to the post office. They have to be kind. On many, many occasions, they would have mystery clients, meaning that they come and test you, and you would pass. Because you chose to be kind and to be reasonable and to help their clients when they came. But the opportunity to work in that environment also made him stronger. And so he, at the end of each day, he would be tired, but he would find time to maybe stop at some restaurants along the way home, pick up Yuya. He had many stops to make, including Spice Delight and so on and so forth. But that was his day, and it was heavily influenced by his workplace. Cindy asked me to share with us that some of the people from the union, United States Postal Service Union, were going to be here because they had worked on his behalf. Again, where someone works makes a big difference in their whole life, because this is when you're at your prime. You have to be alert, you have to be on your best behavior, it's your profession, and so sometimes work takes away from what we could be giving to family. And I think that's what happened in many occasions. However, he stayed true to his profession. I'm going to switch over to our football fraternity, and we have a couple of persons in our audience. Frank, come on up. He said, "Oh man." Okay. I'm a school teacher, so I can call on any student. So, without warning, folks, without warning. Frank is my brother. Our old ones are brothers. I can't tell how long ago.
No, we don't want to tell you that.
And funny when my wife says Frank is her brother too, so it's amazing. So Frank is here to represent Older Red, and we're going to be retiring a shirt from the team, and Frank does give us a short expose.
Thank you, Dutty. What a surprise. But first, I just want to express to the family how Laurent has touched us all. He cussed us out. He told good stories, told us how to eat, how to live. I mean, he just was just, what can I say, a special person. And we're going to miss him, but we're not going to forget him. And we just want to let you know that the soccer community consider you guys as family. We'll always be here, and we thank you for sharing him with us, and he will always be with us as far as we're concerned. So I didn't want us to be celebratory today and not mourn his passing, but to celebrate that, you know, he was able to walk amongst us and guide us and teach us a lot of things. That was
Frank, before you go, Karim, come on up. Frank is going to be presenting the jersey. Actually, Frank is wearing his jersey today. Laurent didn't play last season because he wanted to spend more time with Yuya, plain and simple. And he told us that. He said, "I'm doing my family stuff." And so he didn't play, but he was training so that he would rejoin the team this season. And his energy is going to be with us this fall. The executive of the team are planning to change the name for a season in his honor, and it's now going to be Super Red. And so we'll call to give the score each week on how Super Red is doing. Super wouldn't lose. He would go in the goal. He'd play defense. He'd play midfield. He'd cheer on the sideline. Just a really positive influence when it comes to football. So, Frank?
Well, on behalf of the soccer community, we present this with lots of love and hopefully a small token of what he meant to us all. Okay?
Before the family.
1, 2, 3. Talking on the microphone. Must be a hand.
Electrical hand mark. Anyway, before the family comes to talk a little bit about their memories. About their memories. We're going to do a little bit of open mic because we have several people here that would like for them to, if they would like to say a couple of tributes on behalf of Lauren. We can do it either of two ways. I can come to your table because we have a long enough cord, or if you'd like to come to the front. So let's do a 5-minute open mic, and the mic is yours. Anybody? Maybe.
Good evening. My name is Linda Corley. I'm the president of Montgomery County on the local American Postal Workers Union. And I wasn't sure to say anything after he was getting ready to say how bad the post office is. And the post office isn't really a bad place to work, but we have some really bad managers. On behalf of my local, I wanted to present a Bible. I'm looking for Marva and Jesse.
Yep.
And Marva, on behalf of Montgomery County and the local, we'd like to present this Bible to Lorraine. He was a Goose family member. We really gonna miss him. When the man first came to Maryland, he was in New Jersey, and the union had, from Jersey had called and asked if we would take him because it's a procedure, and they didn't have any openings. So I met him around 7 years ago, and, you know, management is really bad at some point, but, you know, he gets so angry, he gets up here, and he cuts me out to hang up on me if I ain't tell him something that he wanted to hear. And then I'll take him out to eat, but, you know, when it's all over, he'll call me back and say, Nanette, I really didn't mean it, but you know such and such. And, you know, I really did enjoy him. And he does a really good job when he was working, and he really had a sweet spirit. And that spirit will carry on. And, you know, we were talking about Lorraine just 2 weeks ago, but we didn't know any arrangements. So the word didn't really get out too well about the service for today. Cindy called me yesterday. Well, I had called her Monday, and we had been playing phone tags, but she got a hold of me yesterday and said the service was today. And I'm really, you know, feeling heartbroken because there was a lot of people that he touched in the post office, and I don't believe the word got out that this service is taking place today. But on behalf of the American Postal Workers Union, I would like to present that to you all, and we would definitely be praying for the family because he was very special. No matter what anyone else in management may have thought about him, he was very special and unique. And you know, some of the things that I'm hearing today, he had conversation with me, and he did a lot in the community that nobody really knew at the post office. And I really appreciate the brothers offering to donate some money so that we can, on his behalf, give for the children. And it's a pleasure. And I thank you all for allowing me this moment. May God be with you all. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Greetings, my name is Gino. glad to be here, sharing with everyone. This is very unexpected, but nevertheless, we're all here. And I've known Super since Laurent since I was 15 years old, and coming up in America. And we chose to do music, you know. He was one that inspired us and took us to Jamaica on our first visit ever. I mean, we grew up in the Caribbean from I was 5 to 13, and he gave us that vibration. Music, follow music, and do what's right, and develop ourselves, and you know, try. And we went through all difficult times, you know, but we did music for a while. And it's not only Super had an impact, I think, internationally, because he came to my country on a few occasions and met a lot of people and inspired a lot of youth. Youth as myself, you know, younger people. I was teaching about culture, Africa, Jamaica, music, consciousness. And so for me to be here is part of this, you know. I'm part of this and he's part of us, and I don't think there's a day now that, you know, I don't think about all the good things we went through. So I think, so take it from here.
Yes, just want to say give thanks especially to all of our Super's family. You know, give thanks for giving us this opportunity to be here and share this time with you. You know, like Gino was saying, Super inspired us a lot. He believed in us as musicians and took us to Jamaica. You know, we have incredible memories with him. And not only did he go to Jamaica, but took us to Jamaica, but he came down to Chile, you know, and saw all our culture down there. And, you know, Super was always so positive, like everybody comes up here and says it, you know. He was like a light, you know. Anytime he walked into our house, it was just joy. And, you know, that's what we miss probably the most of him. And I just wanted to say, give thanks to the family and, you know, our condolences. And, you know, he's always going to be in our memories, you know. So give thanks.
Patrick, I have to ask for an anecdote, and I want to hear about when Super took the mic and jumped on stage and started to DJ.
Yeah, well, actually, that was our first show ever up in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. You know, Ramapo High School. It was a talent show, and we were playing, and Super came up and he sang. You know, we were just playing the music, and it was a song war. You know, and it was just, the whole place was went crazy. And it was amazing, you know. It was the first time we ever played, and it was Super singing on the mic with us. So, yeah, wonderful time, you know.
And we won the talent show that year. Sorry about being sentimental, I feel a little better now, but our experiences with Super is worldwide, you know. He came with us, he came to Chile, visit us. We even, one time we were driving all night, and we were just an adventure, you know, and we almost ended up in a frontier with Argentina, you know, and the gas was very low, so everything was calculated, so, but eventually we got out of there somehow. There was no food, you know. We ran into some grapevines plantation, and we kind of like, you know, crossed the fence, you know, we had to eat something and get some grapes, you know, to feed ourselves. And eventually we got to a town, and, you know, we saw a lot of beautiful places with Super. We had a lot of intimate, you know, spiritual experience with him, going to different places, you know. And our motto was one time to reach Ethiopia, you know. We have a mission. I know Super had many missions, as I see now. I realize, not only music, and I think that creates a great human being. And it's hard to be that way. And mission we have still to do is, he had this label called Mission 101, which is actually the mission that His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie was, I think it was when he was fighting against the Italian Mussolini. And it was called Mission 101. And that was his record label, and he released our first single called The Day After with some artists from Jamaica called Ruffy and Tuffy. And that production is still here. The work is still here. There's work still to be done. And I think we just have to follow that through. Iration is actually work that's been for 20 years of work. I mean, it's, you know, almost 25, going to 25 now. So we also have a responsibility to the Hector family. We have the aeration name, which is in litigation and a lot of, you know, complicated legal matters, which we have to take care of. And, you know, Super was one of the witnesses in our case, you know, so there's still work to be done. And I don't think it's finished. And to me, he's still here. And there's still work to be done. And I think everyone has their little part to do in this, you know. So thank you, and thank you for the reception. And it's wonderful. Bless you.
Gino, don't leave yet, because late at night, when I'll be helping Laurent with his garden, sort of fine-tuning his desire and love for everything nature, and we'll be talking, and say, why, Tati, we're going to market, you know, in a Chile, you know. So Gino, you're going to have to tell us the rest of the story. But we're going to this market, you know, and our sister in church. Gino, tell us the story, man.
Well, you know, Lauren was the type of person, he was always looking into nature, products and natural things. And he ran into this thing in my country that is called cochayuyo, which is like Irish moss that grows in South America, Chile, Argentina, off the coast of, you know, all the coast, that area. It's really hard to find other places. And so he's like, what is this? So this girl at the market was there, and you know, she was nice, and she was explaining to him. He was more focused on the cochayuyo, which is good because, you know, he brought up a lot of cochayuyo to the US. I mean, a lot. One time I brought two bundles, not a small bag, but like a very big bag, you know. I would last him for a year. But, you know, his idea was to get this to Jamaica and to get it imported to America because it's very cheap in our countries. It costs nothing. But the people there really don't appreciate it. Not as the indigenous Indians. The name is from Mapuche, which is, they have their own language called Mapundungu, which is a language, an Indian indigenous language, which has no negative words in it. It doesn't have words like hate. It doesn't have words like war, killing. It's a positive language in itself. It has no negative, you know, words in it. So that's what cochayuyo comes from, the Mapuche language, and he fell in love with it, and you know, he started feeding on it and brought it up, and I think a lot of people got a little of cochayuyo up here. And his son is here. That's where he got his name, Yuya, from the cochayuyo in Chile. So that is the story behind the cochayuyo in the market.
Thank you very much. And of course, on the same night, he said that this is 2:30 in the morning. And so Rita, will sometime when I tell you I'm coming home, I can't say that excuse anymore because it's superlative. But we'll be gardening at 2 o'clock in the morning because we don't have any time else, because we have to go to the post office to work, and I have to go to Babylon to work. And so after football, this is it. And sometimes it will be raining or it will be a moonlight night. But on this particular occasion, he said, boy, you see, cochayuyo, man, I feel like we'll start a pot right now. I said, 2 o'clock in the morning? He said, yeah, man, we set it, and then we can have it for breakfast. So I said, no, my option is to go home. So he went down to the basement and gave me some. Of course, I took it home, and I won't put my wife on the spot, but she said, Alvin, what kind of something you have in the freezer that tie up and bend up and what kind? So before the end of the day, I researched it, and it was just before we had our wedding anniversary in Alaska, and I found out that this particular seafood, and so this is good knowledge, folks. The United Nations says that there are 5 foods that could feed the world for the next 250 years without even planting. One of them is callaloo, or amaranth, which each plant bears about 15,000 seeds each year. And of course, one is the cochayuya, which looks like dreadlocks. It's about 35 to 40 feet long. It is the nightmare to submarines along the coast, the Pacific coast of South America. And by weight, water weight, one man cannot lift more than 5 or 6 of these. But when it's dried in the market, a baby could lift up maybe 20 of them. And it looks like a very large rigatoni pasta. So it's hollow, and on the outside, nice and brown. And so the Mapuche have used it as their staple food. It swells when you cook it. And of course, Lauren made lots of dishes and offered recipes. And I have been brave to try it twice, and I think I'll be doing it a 3rd time. I still have some at home. Well, we're in our open mic mode. Anybody else before we go to family? Because I know our time is going. Brother Chris.
1, 2. Greetings, family of Lauren and friends. Like everyone has said, Tucker touch you in some funny and different way, you know. Trust me, positive view. You know, in my ways I say, boy, put the food in the ground. Plant, because if you plant, as long as you plant, you can't hungry. Living at DC, so the little chance I get to plant, I plant. And Super have this thing in him garden, mountain mint, and he gave me like 3 strands of it. And he said, be careful because it spreads, you know. And the tree plant turned into a green, what you not call it, a green tub. Full up the green tub right now, you know. And since Super gone, every time I look at that mountain mint, I just remember Super, you know. And since I've been in this place and since I met Miss Valerie, you know, I just remember Super, you know. Trust me, family, you all haven't seen me come by the house, you know. Me and Super chill out a lot at my mom's, you know. We're always in the garden, you know. We're always talking what we're going to do with the music, you know. You're always trying to tell me, man, yo, you play music different. I'm going to put you up on the map, my youth. Me always I say, boy, Super, you can't go and talk, you know. But when it really came down to it, I know he was serious, you know. And I'd just like to say something to the family. Trust me. When a father, when a brother, good youth, say it, good to the bone, you know. And I love him and I miss him, you know. One of my best friends, closest friends, you know. So, I just want everyone to remember Super, and I say, boy, him positive and him good, you know. As a good youth. And I just like to leave this. If you have a backyard, if you have a pot, if you have a pan, if you have a jug, plant food. And Super, like I say, no matter what it is, just plant it. Blessings.
Thanks, Chris. We're going to move a little faster, folks, because our time is going and we still want to do a couple of things. Let's turn to our family memories. It says the Hector family, and I've listed the names, but it doesn't have to be these names in any order. Or, but Alcott, I want to put you on the spot. So, come on up. Alcott is the preceding brother for Lauren, And we met when Alcott stayed with Laurent. And I just love the way Alcott moves, because when he moves precisely. And I like that. So I said, Laurent, you better just move so precisely. And he said, yes, man. Boy, I tell him what I like, we like him. We do me a Rasta, you know, and sometimes I fight him. He said, the man don't fight against Rasta. And he might live here so. And of course, Laurent always had his interpretation to things. But Alcott, it's really an honor for us to have you here to represent the family, along with Marva, who is to his right. And when Laurent spoke of his family, and you need to hear this one, because somehow Laurent's, Maurice, you can listen to. So he would speak of the children and Maurice in a different tone than he spoke of brothers who have gone and of Marva and Alcott. And I asked him one day, I said, you afraid of your sister? He said, oh, that's who you don't know her? And of course, when Alcott lived with him, he said, the brother, you know, the brother come and want to tell me what we're doing at my house. He said, big brother. And that's the way it should be. He said, but that you talk like you are my father too. Here's Alcott.
Yeah, it's been a long journey from growing up with Laurent in the days of Wayne Park. We're a very close-knit family, and the memories that I have right now are the 17 years that we spent playing football. But there's some things that I want to say about Laurent. We all heard about how he thought he was touching people's life. After Isa Sharon Murray died, it kind of changed Laurent in a profound way. He became very fearless, but not at the expense of his loving and caring heart. Laurent had a very strong will, but he was accommodating to those who approached him with good intentions and sound reasoning. Laurent was compromising, but not at the expense of his principles. That was dear to him. Laurent was stubborn, but with meaningful purpose. He acquired tremendous amount of knowledge, and he willingly shared it to those who were eager to listen, to those who wanted to learn. But knowledge that lives in a vacuum is meaningless. In order for knowledge to be meaningful, it must be used effectively. And the effective use of meaningful knowledge is the essence of wisdom. And Laurent had tremendous wisdom. That was clear to all those who shared meaningful conversations with him. And from hearing the tribute from everyone here, how he touched their lives, that pretty much says it. As I said, I grew up with Laurent for the first 17 years of my life. I knew him well. I knew the child that grew up to be a boy, and the boy that grew up to be a man, always my brother. I saw another side of Laurent when I spent the 4 months. And, you know, everything that Jati said is true. That 4 months was something else. I ended up getting kicked out of his I ended up getting kicked out. But, you know, Laurent's my brother. I took it in stride. But there's nothing that can break the bond of a loving brother. And I love my brother to death. I saw another side of Laurent, and Laurent had a very loving side. And whenever Yuya was around, Yuya touched him in such a way that Yuya couldn't do anything wrong. And when I sat there and kind of observed the way he interacted with Yuya, I mean, I wondered who was a parent and who was a child. It was something else. But when Mom was stricken with cancer, she couldn't use her hands. Both of her hands were basically ineffective. Laurent decided to take her in from the nursing home in New Jersey and brought her to his house. The room that I was staying with, he evicted me and says, "This is now Mom's room." And he converted it into basically to accommodate Mom. He did a lot of research. He was on the internet pretty much every night trying to find alternative means of medicine to try to cure Mom. And I'll never forget the time when Lauren actually was giving Mom a bath. Mom couldn't take care of herself. And Lauren, nothing would stop him from taking care of his mom. And Lauren was actually giving Mom a bath. Mom was totally embarrassed. But to Lauren, it didn't mean anything. This is his mom, and he wanted to take care of him. Lauren lived a very fulfilling life. Life dealt him certain cards. He played it well. But the one thing that Lauren got right, out of many other things, is that his children, he did a tremendous job with his children. When I look at Jesse, Imani, Candice, Yuya, I'm sorry, Kareem. Sorry, Kareem. You are all raised to be very intelligent, good human beings, forward-thinking, and there's some things in life that you get one chance to get it right. And Lauren got it right. He did a very good job. You're now the future. You're his lineage, you're his legacy, and the future, as far as Lauren is concerned, is in your hands. When I think of Lauren, I think of you guys. And, he's my brother, I'm going to miss him very much. Marvin?
Just a few words. I can't hear enough about my brother Lauren. We had a very, very, very special relationship, and I spoke to him quite often.